would love to welcome everybody. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Tuesday evening. We even have Jill Crafton from Minnesota. Yay. And our president, Dale Braun's with us. So welcome. This evening, we get to hear from our Iowa Conservation Director, Mike Delaney. He's going to be he's going to be discussing his views and observations on about the North Raccoon River, the truth about the health, and how data gathered from the Raccoon River matters. And we're super excited because we have some younger people that are getting involved. And this evening, I just met Jacob. Jacob is from Greene County, and he is part of the monitoring team now. And he's working with Bob Rye and Mike Delaney and some of these older folks. And we're trying to get younger ones involved. So I'm super excited to find out that he's part of a team, a younger team, and they're eager to help collect more data and actually enter the data into the hub and be able to kind of oversee some of those responsibilities. So I'm super grateful for that. I will, whoops, hold on here. I'm going to let, we can go around and I'll introduce Mike first, and then we can go around, I guess, on my screen, and I'll just, and you can just say like where you're from, since we have such a small group. That might be kind of fun. So Mike, do you want to just give a quick hello?
Yep. Hello, Mike Delaney, live in Windsor Heights, and got a property on the Raccoon River. So that's what I want to talk about today. We did some sampling today, and we'll talk about that and whatever you want to talk about. I've got plenty of experience with this river, so I'm happy to share what I know.
Okay, that's fantastic. And Mike is our Iowa Conservation Director for the Iowa Division. And as he's mentioned, he's got riverfront property that he's had for 30 years, and he's going to give us a little bit of background. And next on my screen, I have Jacob. Jacob, do you want to introduce yourself and just share with everybody about what your interest is and what you're doing now with the monitoring?
Sure thing. I'm the new Greene County conservation naturalist. Most of my background has been fish oriented, so therefore streams is a big part of that. I just wanted to take over a little bit of the mantle on driving some of the studies and some of the data collection for the Raccoon River drainage there and a bunch of streams in Greene County, working in conjunction with Tanner Shireman, our director, and Bob Rye, who is kind of championing the majority of the work so far for Greene County for the Izaak Walton League.
That is fantastic. And I have Michael, who you were just talking with a few people, but Michael Chenoweth, did I say that right?
Yes, Chenoweth.
Okay.
Well, actually, I'm interested in what's happening with your watersheds and your river up there. Well, I live in between two rivers. One of them is called the Gulf Stream, and the other one is called the River of Grass, otherwise known as the Everglades. I'm the president of the Florida Keys chapter, and I'm always interested in what's happening in the Midwest. I have a home in Indiana, and I'm the league is always doing something interesting, and I'm glad to be able to have a chance to listen into your conversation. So thank you for giving me an invitation.
Oh, thank you for joining us. How fun is that? And Jan Carmer, you're on my screen next.
Yeah, I'm Jan Carmer from Cedar Rapids. I'm on the Lynn County Board of Directors and also on the Iowa State Board.
Thank you for joining us this evening.
You're welcome.
And there's our president, Dale Braun.
So yeah, Dale Braun, Iowa Division President. I'm also on the National Executive Board, current chairperson there. And I am responsible for bringing on Christine to head up all these watershed programs, and she's been doing a great job. So I'm looking forward to hearing Mike's Raccoon River adventures.
Thanks so much, Dale. Then we have R.D. Lopez.
Hey, welcome or greetings, everybody. Rick Lopez from North Ames, longtime Ike's member there in the local Ames chapter. Everybody sounds like they have leadership positions. I'm just a lowly plebe here, interested in the topic. So glad for the opportunity to learn something tonight.
Oh, thank you so much, Rick, for taking time to be with us this evening. Jill Crafton, our Minnesota peep that joins us on our Watershed Talk. She's one of our fan members. We're thrilled to see you.
Thanks. So the Minneapolis area, and it's great to hear Rick on it. It's just fun to be with you guys and see so many people from throughout the state.
That's great. Thanks, Jill. And Chris Henning, who is a state board member now. Chris.
Front ads are warm. That cornbread.
Hold on there.
Hi, everybody. It's good to see you. I'm Chris Henning. I live in Greene County near Jefferson, Iowa. And I've known Mike since my early days at the Raccoon River Watershed Association when we were fighting CAFOs like mad. And so I've been working with Bob Rye and Tanner and the group since we started doing our water testing for Save Squirrel Hollow from the pigs. And Bob has taken over, and now we've got new recruits, which is wonderful. And I'm also involved in the Izaak Walton, both in the Panora chapter and now on the Iowa board.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Chris. And Dale Watson, I have you on my screen next.
Yes. Hello, everybody. I am a very much retired environmental engineer, and recently, although I'm not doing it right now, but recently I volunteered with the Story County Conservation in their water quality monitoring program.
Great.
Fantastic. That's great. And then we have Dr. Cornelia Flora. Cornelia, can you say hello and introduce yourself? I know you've been busy.
I'm a sociologist and a longtime member of the Raccoon River Watershed Association and on the board of the Sierra Club and live near the very, very dirty Skunk River.
Thanks so much. Cornelia's been a huge contributor to all kinds of sociology, environment issues with rural communities and internationally renowned. So we're thrilled to have her join us tonight. Gary Stone, you're up next on my list. You're still muted. Gary, are you able to unmute? Maybe not. What about Raymond? Do you want to say hello? We're just doing introductions.
Hello.
Yeah, and where are you from, Raymond?
Ohio.
Okay. Are you an Ike's member then?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Okay. And you're interested in what our topic is this evening. Obviously, you're taking time to join us, right?
Yes, we have a meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, so we've gone around. I think everybody's been introduced, so thank you. Oh, Tom, did we get you yet? I don't know if we...
Oh no, I just had trouble getting in, so.
Okay, but you're good now. Do you want to say hello and where you're from?
Hi, and Council Bluffs.
Oh, fantastic. And you're just interested in what we're talking about this evening, or okay, cool. Thank you very much for joining us.
Are you an Ike's member, Tom?
Yes.
Very good. Quite a few Ikes on there. Well, going down the list, let me say, hello to everybody, and particularly Jacob. I'm so excited about your talents and understanding of fish. Brian Bakovich did a study of the Raccoon River looking for Topeka shiners. He found them, and he found 40 other species of fish in the Raccoon River. He was impressed with the diversity of fish in our warm water stream. It's got problems, but there's an awful lot of life in it, and people sometimes don't appreciate it or understand it. So that's a theme that I'd like to promote today, is that there's an awful lot of life in it. Things aren't as bad as some people think, but it could be a lot better. So, and Michael, great to have you on board from way down south there. I know you've been engaged at a very high level in the Ikes for a long time, and you've been a long time member of the Panora chapter. I think you probably are still on board with us and getting some emails from me once in a while. So good to see you. Jan, you've held things together for us at the state level for a few years here. So appreciate your joining in. And Dale, of course, I'm really, really pleased with Dale's leadership in the state. He's done a wonderful job. And Mr. Lopez up at Ames, you probably know, Rick Dietz, and he's doing some good work up there with the sampling, and Haug is doing some analysis of data up there. He's from that Ames chapter or from the Ames area. And then you probably know the, Honorable Jim Pease and many other people that have been so important in Iowa's conservation efforts over the years. So there, thumbs up there from me. Great to have you on board here. I look forward to getting to know you. Jill, I've known a long time. She's been involved with the Panora chapter, and she is a powerful force at the national level. So lovely to see you. Chris Henning has stepped up and is now serving on the state board of the Izaak Walton League. So she's got her fingers in a lot of different things. She's got a very wide network, very influential, and very concerned about her land, her prairie, and her river. So thanks, Chris. And then Dale, I guess I didn't get your introduction. Where are you from? Dale Watson?
I'm from Ames, or near Ames.
Okay. Oh, good. Well, so some of those folks I was talking about. And of course, Cornelia is right there in Ames as well. She was one of our first people to join the Raccoon River Watershed Association, I think in 2005, and has written, I think, 3 articles about the Watershed Association and the river over time. So that's out there. That literature's out there and appreciated. So, so nice to meet Tom and Raymond and Gary. This evening, it's already 7:15. I could talk forever about the Raccoon River and various aspects of it, but I'll give you some real basics, and then what we did today, and some perspectives on some things that are important, and then ask you to come up with questions that you might have that I might be able to be helpful with. You know what a watershed is? It's an area drained, by a river or a lake. And so the Raccoon is, I think it's 4,000 or so square miles, pretty good size.
Hey, Mike,
Watershed. Yeah.
Can you put the screen so your face is more in it?
Okay, I've got my head down, don't I?
Yeah, it was kind of cut off.
Thanks. Yeah, and that river, as probably all supplies drinking water for central Iowa, and it's been a great concern for Des Moines Waterworks because of the difficulty of removing nitrogen and keeping cyanobacteria from getting, and the toxins from getting in our drinking water. And also that's put a big spotlight on this particular river. I got to remember, for a long time. You've probably, it's well known around the country among academics because of Bill Stowe's lawsuit, attempting to get counties to have more responsibility for what was coming down the Raccoon River to the Des Moines area. And that really, I don't think it really had much of an impact, except that people, became more aware of the problem. So it certainly did shine a light on the problems that are part of the river. So the river the topography of course is a result of the Des Moines lobe of the Wisconsin Glacier. It came down through here. We're in the Des Moines Ikes building here, right on the southern end of that Wisconsin Glacier in Des Moines, at kind of the terminus of it. But the river is a sand and gravel river formed by the glacier, and we had people living off the river and living in that area for about 10,000 years. And the artifacts, of course, are, constantly being uncovered from that entire period of time. So the river has served humanity very, very well, and it continues to serve us very well. And I feel we all have a responsibility to treat it better than it has been treated in the recent past. We have some legacy problems in the river to bring up. You probably all know that phosphorus is a problem for the planet. There's a new book out about phosphorus. I forgot the name of the author. I've just started reading it, but it is, what does he call it? The devil's chemical or something like that. It is a real problem around the world because of the dead zones, its contribution to dead zones. And in the state of Iowa, the contribution to the algae formation in our lakes and rivers is really nasty and getting worse. And I don't know, Christine might have some help with this topic, but I don't know how you get rid of it. Nitrogen will flow on down the river. It's soluble. Nitrogen will go off into the air, and nitrogen gets consumed, but that phosphorus just seems to hang on. And it's recycled in the lake, and the problem gets worse and worse. I don't understand what we can do except try to prevent the amount of phosphorus from going into our rivers and into our lakes. And of course, the main source of it in Iowa is the hog confinements and hog manure that's applied on our fields at excessive rates in many cases. So that, but another thing is, and it was demonstrated today when we were doing our testing, there was not a lot of phosphorus in the water. We had low levels of phosphorus in the water, but the problem that a lot of our people now understand is that the phosphorus is in the soil along the banks that have been deposited for the last 150 years in large amounts. So there's a lot of phosphorus in the soil that is the bank. So as those rivers get flashier and flashier and more soil falls into the river from the banks, it loads them with that phosphorus. It goes on downstream and accumulates in Saylorville and Red Rock and our other reservoirs and in our lakes. So that one is, I think, should be a primary concern for those of us who care about water quality. So I want to bring that up. Today we did, thinking about snapshots. It's a good idea, I think, for multiple samples of water to be taken up the same day because you control some variables like rainfall and temperature and other kinds of things. So Polk County's done a snapshot for, I don't know, maybe 30 years, long time. And the Ikes have been involved with that snapshot in Polk County for that entire period. But what we try to do in the Raccoon watershed is do snapshots, take samples of the river on that same day. So today was the day, and we were able to get samples in Dallas County, Greene County, and up into Calhoun as well. So we got a little broader sampling. What we knew was going to happen this spring in Iowa was that following 3 years of drought, there'd be a lot of nitrogen in our soil. And we knew if we got heavy rains this spring that nitrogen is going to flow. It was going to move with the water through tiles into our rivers. So we had 20 milligrams per liter measurements of nitrate in our sampling in central Iowa this spring. What I didn't expect is that when the tiles stopped and we're back into a kind of droughty condition here, that the nitrate levels would drop dramatically. So on August 15th, I had a master conservationist class at my farm on the Raccoon, and we tested the water and we had 0 for nitrate. And we also had very low phosphorus and high dissolved oxygen. So those are 3 good measures of the river on August 15th. And today, all of our samplers, our 7 samplers in probably 30 locations, and Jacob can let me know if that occurred in his sampling. We got 0s for nitrate at all of our locations today. Jacob, did you get similar? Did you get low nitrogen?
It was, we had 0s. We did not have anything above a 0.
Yeah, yeah. So I checked the U.S. Geological Survey just a few minutes ago to see what they were finding at Van Meter, and they had a 0.2. So with our simple little dip strip test, that'd come out as a 0. So we're getting the same results as the U.S. Geological Survey. So what's going on? Well, I think it's pretty easy to explain, really. The farmers would know, ag people would know that the corn's taking up that nitrogen. And the buffer strips, actually, the Raccoon River is very well buffered with trees and vegetation, and a lot of people have put in the grasses and stuff. So it's Jim Pease, who a lot of people know from the Ames area, has paddled all of our major rivers and has reported on them. And he said publicly that the Raccoon River had the best riparian vegetation of any river that he paddled. So that helps. So that water that does come over the surface and does get into that floodplain area or into that terrace area, that nitrogen is getting taken up by a lot of plant life. So that's my explanation for why we've got these very low nitrate levels being measured right now. So that's good news. Also on the good news, Jacob might appreciate this. I'm very interested in the minnows and crayfish and macroinvertebrates, but also mussels. And they're fun to study because they're visible, they're there. And we have had a dramatic drop in our mussel populations in the Raccoon and other rivers in Iowa since settlement. My guess is we're down to like 0.1% of the population of mussels that we had at settlement. Of course, we did make a lot of buttons in Iowa out of mussels in the Mississippi, and mussel people came up to Des Moines, they got into Raccoon, they took mussels from all over the eastern part of the state. So that hammered a lot of mussels. But I thought maybe it's chemistry for a long time, but the experts tell me that the mussel population problem is a result of heavy rains and flashiness and moving sand. And Larry Gullett over on the Maquoketa River said there weren't any mussels. He didn't see any mussels left in the Maquoketa. It's a very sandy bottom. And when that sand moves, if it buries the mussels too deep and there's no below the oxygen level, they die. So, a lot of our rivers have a lot of big shells in them, but the number of live mussels you see making a trail or moving around are very, very low. So that's when I learned about early, back when I was leading the Watershed Association in 2005, was about the mussel population. And we had some good people at DNR doing surveys, and Mary Skopek was involved with water quality and macroinvertebrates and was very knowledgeable. And we've got another guy by the name of Scotty Gritters with the DNR who's very knowledgeable about mussels. So it appears that I think that, it's not so much about chemistry and pollution with the mussels. I think it really is about flashiness and surging waters because of the heavy rains that we've got, and the hard surfaces and all of the, the plowed fields, and the tiles too contribute to the amount of water coming into the rivers during and after a rain that moves that sand and covers the mussels. So one time I was telling Mary Skopek, some of you know Dr. Skopek up at Lakeside Lab. She's the best in the state on all these issues as far as I'm concerned. And Mary would always ask me when I say, hey, I found this mussel live, I found that mussel live. She would say, are you finding any little ones? And for years, I found no little ones. And she said, well, there's old timers, but they're not reproducing. Well, in the past 5 years, I've been finding about 1 inch mussels. Today we found 2 1-inch mussels. One was called a pimpleback and the other one was a maple leaf. And these are way up north. They are in Calhoun County. And there wasn't, the streams, tributaries didn't look good up there. Buttrick and Hardin Creek, where Jacob was today, are great fun because the water is often pretty clear. You see minnows, you see mussels, and in both those creeks, not only did we find a large number of small mussels indicating recent reproduction, but also a mussel that's endangered in Iowa called a pistol grip. So they're reproducing up there. So wherever there's good news, I like to share it. And I think that there's some mussel recovery going on, probably because of the drought. Sorry about that, farmers. But actually farmers haven't been hurt bad. The corn crop production has been fine. Yeah, all through the drought period. We've just got the right rain at the right time. For those of you out of state, you might not appreciate that so much, but it's been surprising. This year again, bumper crop of corn, even though we have very low water in our rivers right now. It's getting very droughty. So those are some things that I'm particularly keen about. The minnows, the diversity of macroinvertebrates. We see very few bugs in our water, and the insect population is really low in Iowa, and our monarchs are not doing well. It's probably everybody's seeing that everywhere, I imagine. But that is a kind of a crisis, I think, when we have the mortality of so many of our insects. We don't see them on our windshields like we used to, and our butterflies are scarce, and all that is terrible. However, when you turn the rocks over, you see some mayflies, you see some caddisflies. Once in a while, you see a hellgrammite. Crayfish, really low crayfish. And we used a lot of atrazine up here, and atrazine really nails crayfish. So I'm afraid that's what happened to a lot of our crayfish. A friend of mine was down in New Orleans, and they had a crayfish farm, and the friend he's asked my friend about crayfish in Iowa, and he said, I have a wetland was full of them, and they're all gone. And he said, do you guys use atrazine? I said, yeah, that's what happened. We nailed our crayfish big time. There are few around, so Mother Nature's resilient. So I suppose if we stop killing them, they'll come back. But and true with most things, right? They're true with most things in our rivers. And the fact that we have Buttrick and Hardin Creek that have been healthy in terms of mussels and minnows for right straight through, there's always the chance that those streams can regenerate the whole system. That life will spread all over the place if we just stop killing stuff off. So that's my hope, is that we can do better with the rest of the whole Raccoon watershed, and allow those wonderful types of life to get distributed out of our better creeks into the whole system. That's true everywhere. Dale over there on the Cedar. I'm sure you've got some good tributaries. There's a lot of diversity of life in them. That can spread throughout the system if we can do a little better with the main stem. So talking fast, bringing up a lot of things. We've got bacteria problems, of course, and the problem, the big macro problem I think you all are aware of is that our hog production is out of control. We just don't have any. We don't have limits. And placement is controversial. Counties can't stop them. DNR's got control of that, and DNR's under control of politicians that see a lot of profit in exporting pork, And so that one, we're not getting any, I don't think we're making any progress on that. The only good news is that the price of pork has fallen. So we've got $30 per head lost last year, $18 per head prediction this year. So some CAFOs have gotten out of business, I think. And and the same thing with some of the other ag production. We're overproducing. The subsidies keep the production high. If the subsidies went away, the corn production would go way down. If ethanol went away, corn production go way down. So I wonder if the economic realities in the agricultural sector will eventually result in natural resource resilience. Isn't that sad? And we can't do it politically, not in Iowa. We have, I'll tell you what, I've got one positive story from working with the legislature. Rick Serwick's here, and Rick's working hard with the legislature too. But we had no rules in Iowa protecting turtles. So turtle trappers were having a heyday with the Chinese market. They were sending tons and tons of turtles to China, snappers and soft shells and even painted turtles. I don't know what they wanted them for, but they tons and tons. And there was a block. We couldn't, the Sierra Club couldn't get anything done for quite a while. And so the Izaak Walton, they got involved, and our lobbyist got involved. That was before we actually paid him, but the guy that lobbies for us now got involved, and good old Representative Orth and Eisenhart both took up the challenge, and we got school kids to send postcards in with turtle pictures on them, and we got 49 out of 50 in the House, in the Senate. In 98, I believe it was, over in the House side. Yeah, 98 and 49, I think it was. So the governor couldn't veto it. And the governor had not been very helpful on the turtle issue at all. But we did get that one done. And today there were 4 nice sized snapping turtles, soft shell turtles right under the bridge at Minburn. So every time I see turtles, I'm happy that the Ikes and others got on board and pushed that issue. And that's long term. You know, unless the turtle trappers can come back and somehow convince them. The thing that was the strangest thing that happened down there was in a subcommittee meeting, this senator had promised these trappers, we're not going to run you out of business. You're going to be able to trap, blah, blah, blah. He was really trying to help them. And so we're trying to get some bag limits, trying to get some seasons so that the females can lay their eggs. And the trappers were saying, no rules. And so I say to them, what happens when all the turtles are trapped out? What are you going to do then? And you won't believe the answer. The answer was, well, the DNR will stock our rivers with turtles. Serwick loves that one. It's like,
My favorite.
That's a great one. Really? So that senator was trying real hard to help him out, gave up on him and said, okay, I can't help you guys. Not gonna. So I don't know if I've covered some things you're interested in or not, but if you want to follow up on any of that stuff, you're welcome to, or any other questions I might be able to help. Then Rick Serwick is a bow hunter, very involved with the Iowa Conservation Alliance. By the way, Fred Long was sampling water today. He's the president of the alliance. And that's I call them the hook and bullet crowd. Those are our hunters, and our mostly hunters and angling groups and trappers are in this Iowa Conservation Alliance. So the Ikes are working with them big time, and we have to. So,
Mike, I'm interested in, because I know this story, but maybe the others would like to hear it. But your 30 years of observation with your riverfront property, just talk a little bit about what you've seen, the changes over the 30 years that you've been, doing your prairie restoration.
Yeah, well, that's kind of my personal story. I came from Indiana, and my dad had a lake cottage on a glacial lake, and it was, very, very, very functional ecosystem. So when we got to Des Moines, we decided to look around and see if we could find some property on some water. So just recreational, and we bought a piece of ground on the Raccoon River. The river runs through the ground. And then we put a cabin on it. And then converted corn and beans into CRP ground and prairie. So I have 20 acres of prairie. And upland woodland. So I hired a forester to go through and help me to try to restore the wooded area the way it would have been, 200 years ago, mostly oaks and hickories. And that prairie has been a delight. So 30 years of playing with prairie has resulted in a lot of flowers and a lot of wildlife in there. The insects like that, especially you all in Iowa, you all see those dragonflies. in the evening flying over those prairies. I guess they find insects to eat. I don't see many, but they find them. And their wings are flashing gold in the setting sun. It's just a gorgeous sight. So we built this cabin up in the woods, and it overlooks the prairie and it overlooks the river, and it faces the woodland on the other side. So for us, it's a great runaway. We own our view. Harry Stein owns the rest of it, and he's not going to sell anything. So it's going to remain, I think, a pretty, pleasant, remote, highly diverse, piece of property. We have in Iowa, we have a rule that if the river has not been surveyed for navigation, that the landowner owns the bottom of the river. So I own the bottom of the river, the sandbars, the bank, the floodplain, the fan, which is the slope that runs down to the river, that's the prairie, and then the upland woods. So for people interested in ecology like me, I've got a lot of it right there. I've got a lot of Iowa ecology, or potentially, on that 60 acres. So that's been great fun to do everything we can to make it as healthy an ecosystem as possible. Well, we bought it in 88. We swam, we fished, and, river was clear much of the time. And then it just got dirtier and dirtier and dirtier. So 2005, some friends and I formed the Raccoon River Watershed Association to see if we could speak for the river and try to improve it somehow, or at least slow down the damage, whatever. So that's what we've been doing. So RRWA, Chris Henning is the president of it. It's been going since 2005, and we've done a lot. It's an all-volunteer nonprofit. We haven't done much in grants, but we give away a lot of money for people to do research in the river, like, mussels and minnows and bees and everything, all kinds of wildlife in the watershed. So that's worked well. Now we have a Panora chapter, which is complementing the RRWA work. We've got the connection with Dale and with Rick Serwick and with National. So it's a very healthy relationship between what was the Raccoon River Watershed people and the Izaak Walton League. The Izaak Walton League has got the clout in Iowa. It's got the legacy. It's got the membership. It's got the diversity to get things done in the Iowa legislature. So I've got hopes. We've got a lobbyist now hired, working. Jan's on the board, and Dale, and we have Dane Schumann lobbying our interest down there and working with the other organizations that care about conservation and nature. So that's a big step forward, in my opinion, because I used to try to lobby and was ineffective. They know where I'm coming from. Generally, legislators don't, certainly those in power don't have, they're not interested in what I have to say, and for sure. But Dane has got good connections, good rapport, and and he's so he's very effective, I would say. And then now Christine is working with the state Ikes too, thanks to Jan and Dale and others that decided to take advantage of her skills. We're trying to keep her, but she's working awfully hard. So if she doesn't get killed off, she may have to run off. I don't know, to survive, because she's doing about, I'd say, 80 hours a week right now, and just incredible amount of work. But she's got to figure that out. She's got to figure out how to cut back on that to survive.
Well, I think we're all in that same boat, because we're all trying to figure this out and advocate and so forth. I know Elise just popped in a few minutes later, and she's on the board.
Elise.
So let's hear from Elise, young voice. And I believe she's presenting a paper at the Harkin Institute conference coming up next week. Is that right?
Oh my gosh, that's so nice of you to say, Christine. Actually, so Adam did ask me to take my poster version of my paper. So I won't be doing an oral, but I will have a poster there. So thank you so much, Christine. And Mike, thank you so much for presenting today. That's amazing. I'm so glad to hear you.
Yeah, good to see you, Elise. It's been a while.
I know,
think
it
you've been
really has.
traveling or something, haven't you?
No, well, I wish I haven't
No,
had a vacation in years, but yeah, it's okay. Yeah, thank you
it's
so much.
okay. Well, did you
Maybe
have any questions about anything that I had to say there or anything in addition?
Me myself?
Yeah, do you have any questions about
No, it was
River
fantastic, but it
Detroit?
was I have to say that it is so fantastic to hear your voice and like hear you talking about like your just your experience and from your point of view. So this has been really great to be here, and I'm so sorry that I had to be late. I was at a work event before.
No. Personally, I've been critical all along and just really upset and angry, kind of like Chris Jones. But what I'm trying to do now is to find positives and encourage people along the line of doing good things for the river. I used to beat up on farmers, but I do really think they're trapped by global economic food system forces that, over half of the meat packing in Iowa is owned by Chinese company, WH. And it's like, okay, these poor guys, our farmers all had pigs. They all made money on their pigs. That's what they went to town with, chicken money and pig money, and to buy whatever they needed from the stores. That was their cash. And that's gone. It's all been taken away. And I don't see how it's coming back. And I don't think that those people in Hong Kong really care much about the state of Iowa or what happens to us, So, and I don't think our politicians are responsive to Iowans. I think they're responsive to big money. So that's terrible.
Might be going to India pretty
Yeah. So, what do we do about it? So a lot of the problems we have, I think, start there with the global food system. And, Chenoweth is on this stuff, and a lot of you are aware of the big macroeconomic and global problems more so than I am. So, but
Well,
that's sad. But we do what we can do in our own backyard, and that's how I keep going. I've got friends that have quit. They've just given up, and I'm not. But I've got my own 60 acres. It's mine, and I don't think they're going to put a pipeline through it. They're going real close to Chris Henning. She's not happy about it. And I think the whole thing's a boondoggle. I think I've not been quiet about that, but that's macro, global, national, big money interest behind all that. And Iowa's kind of small potatoes in a way. I think we're just kind of getting run over and colonized.
so Jill Crafton has her hand up, Mike. She
Yeah,
wants
Jill?
to ask you a question. Oh, you're muted, Jill.
Yep, sorry. I'm just trying to get a better understanding of like your riparian area. So do you have any laws about buffering any of your creeks and water bodies or any of that stuff? And the other thing
No, there's
was,
not like Minnesota. There's no mandate to buffer. There's an incentive. I had a buffer on my property and it ran out. So I went into the FSA office and I say, can I renew this contract? You're going to pay me to maintain that buffer strip? And the lady said, do you have any trees on it? And I said, sure. It was corn when I bought it, with water running off the surface, creating huge gullies, like 5-foot deep gullies running directly in the river. So the reed canary grass stopped that. And then the silver maples and mulberries and other grasses and appropriate flowers came in over 15 years. And now there's silver maples about 20 inches in diameter. And she says, well, you've got to tear out all those trees. I said, you can keep your money. Are you crazy? This is what's supposed to be there, And I get the other side. They like that reed canary grass because, of how it functions, and they think that trees fall in, and they do, and all that. But that's the way the river is. The trees fall in all the way up and down the river, and they create barriers. Maybe not very effective, but there's some deflection of water away from the banks by the trees that fall in the water. So anyway, I decided I'm
I
not.
wondered too, so do you have like, people in the practical farmers group there in your area or
Oh
how?
yeah, practical farmers are great. Farmers Union's really good too.
Okay, but they're
Yeah.
not. So is regenerative ag moving at all in where you are, or?
We have those good examples that we like to point to and celebrate and give awards to and get in papers and so on. But I think they're a small number compared to the acres that are in traditional row crops. And heavily fertilized. And another good bit of news is Koch brothers Koch has bought that nitrogen nitrate production plant in southeast Iowa that we put $1 billion into tax money or whatever. Remember the Egyptians came in, Orscom came into southeast Iowa, Egyptian guy, and we gave him flood money to build that big plant, make jobs over there. The state of Iowa gave I think 100 million, built roads and all that. And I think Branstad's idea, our governor's idea, was to make sure we had competition against Koch Industries when it comes to the price of nitrates, nitrogen fertilizer. But it just got sold to Koch Industries. So Koch has that big plant as well as the rest of it. So I expect the price of for fertilizer is going to go up, which maybe means there'll be less of it used. I don't know. Yeah. So again, maybe macroeconomics is going to save us.
Christine?
Yes.
So I was on the Farm Bill. They've been doing monthly meetings.
I missed it.
Mary Ellen was on, and she was saying that they're with the CO2 pipelines coming through in the northwest section.
Yeah.
That there are a lot of farmers there that are really upset about the eminent domain. And that there might be some vulnerable people that, in terms of your legislative.
Chris Henning is all over that issue. She's fighting it. She's organized. She's political, and the people are outraged along that. And our hope is that the powerful people in Iowa that run our government are running this pipeline, but they can't control South and North Dakota, and they can't control Illinois either. So we're hoping that those states will block them. That's what my hope is. I don't know. Chris can jump.
Chris is going to jump in and just with an update, Jill, because she has been on this. We had a Watershed Talk, was it last month on this? And Chris gave an update. It's really good. It's very, very interesting because everybody's upset about it, and Republicans and Democrats are working together on this, which is lovely to see. And Chris, give Jill a little update on
a brief, because I see we're at 7:58 here. There are coalitions all across the top of Iowa and clear down here. I'm in central Iowa and even south of us, through Guthrie County, which is right next to the White Rock Conservancy, which you've all probably heard a whole lot about. Anyway, in two counties, the county that I live in and the one south of us, and we're in the same docket, there are 70 miles of pipeline planned, and it affects 800 people, 800 landowners. It's a lot of people. The first part of that pipeline had, which is the one that has been said to be able to have eminent domain. Well, not only the Sierra Club, which I'm working with, but the Iowa legislature, which currently is almost all Republican, and the Republicans are fighting the Republican governor and the Republican governor's appointees and saying eminent domain for this pipeline is unconstitutional. And they may win. South Dakota, North Dakota, are also fighting on the um, same basis. And Iowa can't do, the summit people led by Bruce Raster can't do anything until the Dakotas say yes. And it's on the ballot in November in South Dakota. So yeah, why are they pushing so hard? Because they're forever easements. And even if they don't get this pipeline, they've got all sorts of other things up their sleeves. So
And
yeah,
there are several lawsuits filed against the IUC for the granting of those
yes,
permits too. So that's going to be in court for quite some time.
Yeah.
yes, we think so. And we think that the activists against it think that the longer we can draw it out, the longer, the more it costs Summit.
Yeah.
And he has deep, deep, deep pockets, but he may get tired of fighting it. Who knows what'll happen? But the longer it waits, I'm already 77. I'm not positive that I can wait him out, but I can try.
Yeah.
Thank you all. And if you feel strongly about it, I'll share with Christine and she'll put out the information. Object to the Iowa Utilities Board or Iowa Utilities Commission, because every objection helps. Every
Matters.
objection helps.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a minute or two, Christina, and I'd like to take what Chris said and take it to an organizational level in a sense. I don't know how to say
Sure.
this. Anyway, Christine has been convening a group of conservationists that include Chris Henning and Cornelia and Dale, who are on this call. There are 25, I think, on our list, and they're all people who are independent. There are people who are very knowledgeable about their field as a relate, and we're interested in environmental stuff primarily. So we've got ag economists, we've got, ag soil scientists, we've got economists, all kinds of people that meet every Monday over Zoom. We call it a non-group. There is no structure. There's no leadership. There's no money. There's no, all we do is get together on Zoom and drink coffee and talk about stuff that we're interested in. And the intellectual power there is, I don't know if there's any equivalent in the state of Iowa. It's a tremendous think tank of people. So we talked about this pipeline and Neil Hamilton, Matt Liebman, Elizabeth Garst, all kinds of people who really know stuff, conclude that it doesn't help us in terms of our climate problems. If you take the plowing and the production of corn and the CO2 coming off of that, and then on and on and on and on, it's not a plus to try to put this stuff in the ground, which they're going to do for fracking. They're going to use it to frack for more oil. So they're not saying that, of course, you're not hearing that. But that Sierra Club's been on that from the beginning. They knew what they were up to. So big boondoggle. But I think that the pressure should be put on Democrats and Biden administration in Washington, D.C. Like, no, these credits, stop these credits for this kind of activity because it is interfering with our soil and our ownership of our land and our ability to produce crops in the future. Once you run that pipeline through, you get a decrease in production. We have the data from the other pipeline that came through Iowa. Matt Liebman's got the numbers. So, yeah, it's a bad deal. And I tell you, if they tried to run that thing through my farm and my prairie and my woodland, I don't know what I'd do, but I would not be quiet.
Yeah. I think one of the facts that I've learned this past year is that we lose 17 pounds of soil for every gallon of ethanol that's produced. That's just crazy. And it's real data, real numbers, So it's just something to keep in mind when you're, thinking about finding another use for ethanol because of all the electric cars. They're thinking about, oh, we can use it for air jets, airplane fuel. So
Do we end at 8 o'clock?
Yeah. If unless anybody wants to go on, but I think it's good. I think it's good if anybody wanted to ask a few more questions or whatever, then we could wrap it up.
Well, I'm available. I'm having a lot of fun on Facebook. So if you want to talk on Facebook, I'm putting all kinds of environmental stuff up there and all kinds of, I've been having a lot of fun and I'm giving a lot of money away. Just go down through there and just give $20 here, $15 there to people that I like. So, that's fun.
Well, thank you everybody for taking time out on your Tuesday night. And our next talk is going to be Salt Watch with Abby from our national. We're trying to work out the exact date, so it may be actually in November now, but we'll get somebody else lined up and we'll be back in touch. We've had a lot of conferences going on, back-to-back conferences with conservation and so forth. This next week is filled up too, and Elise is going to have her poster there, and a few of us are involved. We're promoting the Izaak Walton League's SOS project. I was just with Heather at the Iowa Water Conference where there were about 300 attendees, and that was an excellent conference.
Thank you, Christine.
Yeah.
I want to say to Jacob, we had real high chloride up in Calhoun County in two little streams, like 138 and 98 or something after you convert it. Normally we're down around 37, 43, something like that for chloride, and it was way sky high. There's something going on up there. I suppose it's a pile of salt.
I was going to ask, what is upstream of that sampling location?
Yeah, Farnhamville is up there, and it's right in that area, Farnhamville and that little town up there. So that's one that the Izaak Walton League has been on, and we should be looking into what is causing that, because that's chloride can kill.
Yeah. It stays in the water too.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't dissipate. So.
Yep. So thank you all. Nice talking to you. I hope you have a good evening, and we can hope for the best going forward. We might have hit bottom over here on the Raccoon. I'm thinking so. I think those little mussels give me hope.
Thanks for your insight, Mike, and thank you so much for taking time out to meet with us. I know you've had a long day. You've been out sampling all day, and same with you, Jacob. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to meet you and everybody else for taking time too. Have a beautiful evening and week, and we'll see you next time.
Put that on there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you all for all you do.
Thanks to Big Grove for $25,000 contribution to the Ikes.
There you go. Thanks, Mike.
Big Grove Brewery. Little commercial there. Got to have a commercial.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.
Plug. Bye.